Hey guys, I originally planned to make a video on how likely law enforcement could retrieve data from Jay's phone, whether intact, wiped, or damaged. I'll still cover that in another video, but first, I want to discuss a few speculative concepts around his phone that I haven't heard others mention. I'll add a disclaimer as I usually stick to facts, not speculation. While these ideas are technically possible, there's no evidence to suggest they actually happened. The mystery of Jay Slater's phone. There's actually very little concrete evidence regarding what happened to Jay's phone, which I'll touch on in a moment. However, widespread rumors suggest he had two phones. So let's first consider why someone might have two phones. Having two phones isn't inherently suspicious, but possible reasons include one, work versus personal use. Many people, especially those in occupations requiring constant availability, have a separate work phone. This keeps work and personal life distinct. Employers often provide work phones, and self-employed individuals may also opt for a second phone to separate business from private matters. 2. Keeping something secret. Less innocent but still non-criminal. Some people use a second phone to hide things, like someone in a relationship hiding an affair. This secret phone would be kept out of sight, only used when necessary. Aside from these reasons, few people actually use two phones regularly. Some tech professionals or app developers may own multiple devices for testing purposes, but most rely on a primary phone. Did Jay Slater have two phones? If Jay did have two phones, what purpose did the second one serve? Looking at the reasons above, he was an apprentice bricklayer, a job that doesn't require a separate work phone. No reports suggest he was in a serious relationship where he might need to hide communications. However, drug dealing has been mentioned in relation to this case. Some involved reportedly had criminal records, and early messages sent to Jay's family referenced potential drug debts. The role of phones in drug dealing. If Jay had two phones, it might align with a common practice in drug distribution. Phones in illicit activities tend to fall into two categories. One-burner phones, cheap, disposable pay-as-you-go phones, are often used for drug deals and replaced frequently to avoid tracking. These phones typically lack internet access, restricting use to calls and SMS. Two encrypted phones, high-level drug operations, sometimes use specialized encrypted devices that secure communication through private networks. These are expensive and mostly used by top-tier criminals. A well-known example is EncroChat, which was compromised by authorities a few years ago, leading to widespread arrests. Street-level dealers increasingly use social media and messaging apps, Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, Snapchat, to conduct transactions. Many of these apps employ end-to-end encryption, E2EE. What is end-to-end encryption? End-to-end encryption ensures that only the sender and recipient can read messages. Even the platform hosting the conversation, e.g., WhatsApp, Signal, can't access the content. How it works: one, encryption at the sender's end. Messages are encrypted before leaving the device. 2, data transmission. The encrypted data passes through servers but remains unreadable. 3, decryption at the recipient's end. The recipient's device has the key to decode the message. Why it matters: prevents unauthorized access by hackers, service providers, or law enforcement. Ensures privacy in communication. Once lost, encrypted data cannot be retrieved without the decryption key. Snapchat's unique situation. Unlike WhatsApp and iMessage, Snapchat only encrypts photos and snaps, not text messages. Texts can, in theory, be retrieved by law enforcement, though they are deleted once read or after 30 days. If Jay and his friends were involved in dealing, a second phone might have been useful to conduct business through encrypted messaging while keeping it separate from personal communication. The WhatsApp location screenshot. One detail that has always seemed strange to me is the WhatsApp location screenshot shared in this case. Unlike Snapchat's location sharing feature, WhatsApp locations are displayed in an Apple Maps interface. The screenshot shows JS, Jay's initials, in a blank profile circle, which usually happens when a user doesn't have a profile picture. I find it odd that someone of Jay's age wouldn't have a profile photo on their main WhatsApp account. This raises the possibility that the account was either faked, a second account on another device. The implications of two phones. If Jay had a work and personal phone, it's possible others had access to the iCloud account linked to the second device. What is an iCloud account? An iCloud account is tied to an Apple ID and enables cloud storage, backing up photos, messages, and app data. Device syncing, keeping messages, contacts, and notes accessible across devices. Find My iPhone, locating, locking, or remotely wiping a lost device. The role of Find My iPhone in criminal activities. Find My iPhone can be used strategically in drug operations. 1. Tracking people and products. If someone is handling large amounts of drugs or cash, their location can be monitored to prevent theft or disappearance. 2. Remote data wiping. If arrested, a suspect's phone can be remotely wiped via iCloud, deleting incriminating evidence. This process erases encryption keys, making data completely unrecoverable. Was Jay's phone wiped? Rumors suggest Jay's phone may have been wiped before it was found. While some speculate law enforcement did this, it could also have been done remotely via Find My iPhone. If his phone was powered on and had network access, a remote wipe command would have erased all data instantly. Once wiped, the phone would revert to factory settings. If activation lock was enabled, it would require the original Apple ID credentials to be set up or even used. This would mean that, with the exception of calling emergency services, Jay's phone would be useless. Final thoughts. This entire discussion is purely speculative. There's been no official confirmation of what happened to Jay's phone. However, based on the trends in criminal phone usage, encryption, and iCloud features, we can see how a second phone might have played a role. Stay tuned for part 2, where I'll focus on the actual facts of modern phone encryption and data recovery. As always, if you got any thoughts on the topics of this video, then make sure to drop them in the comments below.